Thank you. My name is Will Speck. I'm a co-chair of the Providence chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. First, I'd like to acknowledge the very real risk to personal safety that every individual who has come up here and spoken out in opposition of this bill, how much they have risked their personal safety. So, Representative Corvese, I would hope that you would acknowledge that as well, that we have risked our personal safety to oppose your bill. I am an anti-fascist, and the organization that I am an officer of is an anti-fascist organization. I have worn masks at a protest, but to be frank, my body frame sort of precludes hiding my identity. However, I recognize the reason that has been articulated by many speakers that comrades do cover their face, and it's because we don't want to be on terrorist hit lists, we don't want to receive death threats from Nazis, we don't want to have racist, misogynist, homophobic, transphobic content spewed at us constantly by very dedicated armies of online white nationalists. We don't deserve that because we believe that we should be able to go and counter their demonstrations and prevent them from spreading a message of oppression, genocide, and hate. That is why we wear masks. We're not wearing it because it looks cool. We're not wearing it because we want to hide our face from the cops. We have no illusions that we can hide ourselves from police who have such extensive surveillance tools. So this bill will put people at danger. It will put me at danger. It will put my comrades at danger. It will make it easier for Nazis to identify, harass, kill, and assault anti-fascists. It will also put a chilling effect on free speech because people don't want those things to happen to them. And if this bill passes, the way that they will ensure that that doesn't happen to them is to not express their First Amendment right. Now, I, like other speakers, would like to take issue with the idea that wearing a mask or wearing protective equipment of any kind is in and of itself a display of intent, of violent intent. Anti-fascists wear that because we understand fascists. We understand their violent nature. We understand that they want nothing better than to hurt us. And so we are not going to make it easy for them to hurt us. And I think it is our right to protect ourselves. I also just want to take issue with the basic equivalence and the purported reason that Representative Corvese said was the genesis of this bill, which were incidents that occurred in Boston and Portland. I don't know where you did your research, but any serious analysis of those incidents would show that the violence was instigated either by the far right or by the police. Anti-fascists only engage in violence through legitimate self-defense. And in Boston, I was one of the crowd who were attacked by police when no unlawful assembly was declared because we were continuing to hold space which was ours to hold. No unlawful assembly was declared, but they then drove a parade of police motorcycles through our crowd, endangering people, began hitting people with bikes and spraying people indiscriminately with pepper spray. If those people had had goggles or gas masks or other forms of protected gear, they would have been able to protect themselves from that completely unlawful and unnecessary police abuse. I believe that everyone has been given enough reason to oppose this bill. If you don't oppose it, it's because you have a particular agenda of your own, but I'm willing to answer any questions.
Chairman Corvese.
You were in Boston.
Yes.
What was the proportion of the anti-fascists to the Proud Boys?
This is actually a really interesting point.
No, stop. What was the proportion?
There were far more anti-fascists than fascists.
Yes,
and
there
actually,
were.
if there are...
The reason why the police drove through was to try to protect the Proud Boys. I'm not
That's
saying...
not true. The Proud Boys were being led away completely away from the crowd. No, you're spreading lies. You're spreading propaganda.
They should not, have been there. The Proud Boys shouldn't have been there. They're a fascist organization, a white supremacist organization. But the police were trying to maintain order. That's my point.
Propaganda about what happened. I was there. I saw what happened. You weren't. You don't know.
Well,
Hey, brother.
I respectfully
do me a favor. Wait, excuse me, Chairman. Listen, the way it works around here is we take turns. He gets to speak, then you get to speak.
Gets to spread propaganda about things that I witnessed.
Please.
I get to
I'm asking respectfully. Don't step on what other people say.
I
You
get
can say what you want.
to express
Lying
my
about what
opinion.
happened.
I get to express my opinion regarding to what I have seen either through police reports, media reports, etc. You can take issue with that. That's fine. That's your right. But it is a respectful dialogue. That's all.
You're putting me at risk. You're putting my personal safety at risk with this bill. I don't find that to be particularly respectful
And
of me.
and I respectfully disagree. My intent is as I stated
You
it.
disagree that I'm going to be on a terrorist kill list?
I have no idea what list you're going to be on. I have no idea, no clue. But I do know the intent of my bill. I stated it very clearly, very succinctly. I've stated it publicly. I've stated it in the press, and for the video. That is only my intention. And by the way, I stated earlier, regardless of other testimony here, my concern is with the extremes on the right and the left.
What is the extreme on the left? What extreme?
Mr. Speck, I think we're getting away from the merits of the bill, and I think it's clear
Okay.
that you have a
So
different position.
I have one more point, though,
than-
'cause he
hold on,
mentioned-
Hold on. I think it's clear that you have a different position than Chairman Corvese. That's obvious. We're having a debate. If you have any additional points to raise on the bill that you
I
have
do.
not raised already,
I do.
can you raise those now, please?
Yes, so the representative brought up the issue of proportionality of counter-protesters to protesters. The fact is, when the proportion gets smaller, the risk of violence increases. So in fact, if you want to prevent political violence from happening at these actions, the best way to do that is to encourage as many people as possible to counter-protest these fascists. And how you do that is not by putting a chilling effect on free speech and their First Amendment right, and the very real possibility that these people will be targeted for harassment and assault. So in fact, this mass bill will actually make it more likely that violence will occur because less people will feel willing to come out and counter-protest fascists, making the fascists far more willing to engage in violence. So the best way to stop this from happening is A, to counter the fascists in as broad of a way as you can, with the biggest crowd that you can. And B, to combat the social forces that create fascism. I understand that might be a little bit out of your scale, but that's the way that you stop this. Because if there aren't fascists showing up, we have no reason to be there. I would much rather be doing the regular political activity that I do all the time in helping to run the Providence chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America than deal with Nazis and jokers on the far right. But I can't, because they are a very real threat. That is my testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Speck.